This is like a shorty buddy. I'm having fun. I've been playing with the dog out back. Beautiful pointer dog. What prompted this? Oh, yeah, education, learning, being a student and a teacher at the same time, because your mirror is the result and the use of your energy. So now we're into how fast you're learning. Now, in my particular case, because it just came to me why I'm doing this, is why I went to their public schools, okay? I was born in New Jersey in 1951. My parents moved me to Southern California, jumped off an airplane, and grew up in those public schools in Los Angeles, Orange County, and up near the Bay Area near San Francisco up until the point I was 12 years old, went back to Southern California. But it's the same sort of school system, right? So when you already know at 6 years of age how long they've been harvesting energy off of souls here, so you already know that you're on a spiritual battlefield from the time you're 4 years old. So you may have heard the old saying, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Okay? So what was I doing? Studying the energy, the mind's energy of the enemy. So where do you think was the first place I looked? Those that were wearing skull and bones on their caps, which is a death cult. You don't see them running around celebrating life with love, do you? And that's called logic. So you already know who the enemy is. So what do you want to do? Study their methods. How are they doing this? So now you get into all the programming, right? I had to figure out why it was they were able to program that many minds. Somebody said one time when I was a kid, skulls of mush. Just putting stuff into their skull, which my father used to tell me is garbage in, garbage out. Now we're into filters. Now you're filtering content. Now you're filtering visual information codes, right? Because you're experiencing all the numbers, alphanumerical numbers, which is based on all the programming. So you sort of already get this, which means they used to have an old saying called size it up, size it up. Size is a metric, right? So you already know that the universe of creation is a mathematician, right? So when you're a polarity integrator, you got a built-in calculator. Loss and gain, loss and gain, loss and gain, loss and gain, loss and gain. And then I'm looking at a video that Maria Colvin Hill is putting up right now, showing, look at all these storms, all this cold. And I'm going, that makes sense. Actually, that's pretty common sense. When I was a child, form follows function, right? So if you already know, hey, there's volcanoes popping off all over the place, like popping a balloon. You know what pressure is, right? You can only compress so much energy into a space, man, before it's going to want to go what? Critical mass. It's going to release itself of what it's aware of in energy. I need more space. All right. Cells that are consciousness, living cells, cell membrane, the cross inside the cell membrane, right? The vertical and the horizontal. So you realize, man, look at all these volcanoes that are popping. Pew, pop here. Man, that pressure, right? Torque. So what's his name? Dutch Sense showed everybody all the S waves moving around all the plate boundaries, right? Now you see a hot spot pop right off the coast here on the Big Island, right? Now Mauna Loa's gone. I'm going to see all the other volcanoes going. You can see the pop, pop, pop goes the weasel. Pressure washer. Man, that's called expansion. That energy wants to move. Energy in motion. So you realize the PSI, as they call them, lores, the PSI lores, pounds per square inch, right? Pressure gradients. So now you get into cold and hot water. Go watch how a river works, right? And then you get to understand how torque works between hot and cold. To do what? Maintain the flow, right? So otherwise you end up with what? Stagnant water. Right? You don't want stagnant water. You want pure living spirit in that water, torquing. Yeah, baby. Nothing like cold spring water, huh? Living water worlds. So you know that everything that they do is to weaponize the spirit of fire, weaponize the spirit of water, weaponize the spirit in the air. Everything is about weaponization. So in other words, what we are, which is living spirit, because we celebrate life with living spirits, and they represent death spirits, death spiral, right? Then you know that they use all the spirits that we are in harmony and balance with, they use them as weapons against us. See the difference? So now you get into the polarity game between negative / plus, right? So you realize the difference between service to self, because the more energy they accumulate, they perceive that as power and control over others. Throw in the technology aspect of all that and the formation of consciousness, how fast they can develop what it is they use their energy for. Now you go into all their schools and you see what they do with their energy, what they're teaching, and what comes out of that. What is the ultimate result of all those schools? Take a look at the planetary landscape. Poison the air, poison the water, poison everything. Different schools, huh? Different teachers. So you begin to realize, yeah, they went to their schools. There's a different schools called nature. So a child's going to learn faster through nature than they will going through their schools. And that's why they threw me out of one of their high schools. So if I didn't share this in the past, I'll share it with you now, okay? And that is that having grown up in Orange County, it was, as I remember it, the beginning, I can't remember whether it was my freshman year or sophomore. You can look it up in the newspaper or the Orange County Register in Orange County, California. But I remember we were not allowed to go into the school. They sent all the students home. And of course, when I finally got into the school, I realized why. Because all along the walls of the classrooms were huge, big black swastikas, Nazi swastikas. Okay, the German Iron Cross. Okay, and there was one bomb had gone off in one building, and one was set to go off 8 minutes before the Orange County Sheriff's Bomb Squad found it in the vice principal's office. And somebody had taken a .50 caliber machine gun and just completely destroyed the inside of the gymnasium. So in military terms, that's called giving notice. Okay, so that means there are some veterans, because this would have been like 1966 or 67. Okay, so this was during the middle of the Vietnam War. But certainly my father was still alive, who was a naval aviator during World War II. And I had a lot of friends of mine that were Marines and Navy and Army guys that all served in World War II, either in the Mediterranean theater, over in Europe, right? Landed in Normandy, Screaming Eagles, all them guys. Yeah, I used to hang out with a lot of these guys because, hell, I grew up in Orange County, which was right next to the Marine Corps Air Station. Right? Leathernecks, Miramar, right? Top Gun School, all them guys. Yeah, so most of the friends that I grew up with had fathers that were all ex-military or in the military. Let alone what my dad did, put him in a military academy at 5 years of age, right? Yeah, so I learned all about rank and file and how all this system works, because that's the nature of why I came in when I came in. You're studying essentially how the mind of war, right? War games are played. AI war gamers. Because you know that Adam and Eve are not at war against creation, right? In their mirror. So you know that we give love as the energy that we use to create our worlds. They use energy to destroy them, right? So this is why I had to study the methods to their madness, because they're psychos. Because you realize, as I did as a child, there are things they do that a soul that celebrates life with what love is would never, ever, ever consider doing what they do with the use of their energy. So you realize when I did as a kid, man, I landed on a war planet. A war planet. Man, this isn't a love planet. This is a war planet that's against what love is. So you begin to realize, how did this happen? This isn't possible. This is an illusion. This isn't real. It's a simulator. I'm in a simulator game. So you begin to realize, yeah, but this is for souls. The prize is the soul, and the spirit falls. So they consume the essence of the spirit. So this isn't a game. But that's the game the AI plays. Want to play another game? Because it ultimately has to learn that when it's at war against Adam, then it's going to do what? It can't win. Otherwise, you don't have a universe in which to celebrate what Adam celebrates, the highest speed vibration of a love vibration, which is what love is. You lose the love that you experience within yourself, being what love is in your mirror. That mirror is not going to last very long, is it? So that's when I realized, when I was a small child, this is self-suicide programming. Or as I heard somebody say one time, Armageddon software. In a simulator. So then I'm going, a simulator? Yeah, I know what a simulator is. I watched some astronauts jump into a simulator called a shuttle simulator. So everything's being simulated. Right? So anyway, I thought I'd share that because it's funny how when you think of torque speed, or what's known as learning speed, and how fast you're learning, and how you're held captive. And when I think about how you're held captive, I'm reminded by when I was a child growing up in elementary school, because I loved to learn. I was on fire to learn. So when I was in elementary school and junior high school, I remember when teachers would present questions, or they would put information that is out there, right? And then I noticed that there were a lot of other boys, and I had a conversation with my father about this when I was about 7 years old, that I said, all the males that I'm with are always focusing on how important it is, how intelligent you are, how much knowledge that you have, how fast you're learning, and all this kind of stuff. And my dad said, no, your power is really in how much love you have with your creativity. My dad was an engineer, so he knew a lot about creativity. But the point is that I noticed in my classrooms, because I was so excited to learn, I had my hand up, and I always had a lot of questions, right? And then I noticed, because I could experience it, because you can read the consciousness terrain, that there were other children that wouldn't ask questions. And I began realizing how it's possible to experience being uncomfortable, to ask questions, to learn, because the perception that they have of asking questions is a perception which I don't know. And if I don't know, then it means I'm probably not very intelligent, because if I'm intelligent enough to know, then I would know the answer to my question, but I don't know. So now I'm going to allow other children to realize through asking a question that I don't know. I don't want them to know that I don't know, because I live in fear of learning, and the others will learn how much I don't know out of the fear of wanting to learn. So they live in fear of learning by the perception they have of others' perception of them, by asking questions and wanting to learn. Now you get into the torque differential speed of learning when you're on fire because you love to learn. And when love is the absence of fear of asking a question, you're not in fear of others around you that are, because you want to learn. So you're not there on their behalf. You're there on your behalf, because that's your coursework. Because you realize, I'm on my soul's journey. This is my journey. This is my life book. This is my learning adventure. So otherwise, if it's all about them, then I might as well cut my head off, put it on their head, and then they can tell me how I'm doing, being what I am, which is what they are, which I am not. So this is how I translated this as a child. You're on your journey, I'm on my journey. You have your free will, I have my free will. But please do not impose your will or your sense or right to have control over my space. My space is my space because the space that I occupy is what love is. That's what the law is. So you stand for the highest law of learning. And that learning speed is faster than a machine. See the difference in the torque speed? Have a great day. I love you all. Be good to yourselves.